This session is about studying abroad in South Korea, but I want to give you a little bit of background of who we are as an organization. We have been sending students to Australia, New Zealand, and Asia for 25 plus years. We have an incredible amount of programs, 70 plus programs across 10 different countries now throughout the South Pacific. And these programs are really for all students of all majors, whether you study accounting or you study zoology. There's going to be a study abroad program for some student, whether it be semester, summer study abroad, could be a faculty-led type program, could be a summer internship. Again, tonight's going to be focused on South Korea, but there's many other programs for you to consider. We have been a host to over 15,000 students. We have a really great alumni group. We have staff who have traveled to all of our destinations, many of whom have studied and lived in these various countries. So we have a deep knowledge and expertise within the organization. We have a great reputation in the study abroad industry. And from that comes just really great personalized service, a really deep understanding of the country and cultures in which we're sending students. And as you'll see throughout the presentation, you'll be supported 24/7 while you're in country through TEAN's in-country staff, referred to as on-site resident directors or on-site staff. That's in addition to all the wonderful staff we have here in the US, and our headquarters are based in Chicago, Illinois. We have various staff around the country like myself who work specifically in certain regions of the US, but the main office there is based in Chicago. And so those folks there will be your initial point of contact once you do apply, but they're with you through the entire step of the way. And many of them even travel with you overseas for your initial arrival, for your welcome orientation, also known as an on-site orientation. I believe, and you'll see as you do a little bit of research on our cost and what we include, I think we have great value, particularly as it relates to the programs throughout Asia and more importantly for tonight's session in South Korea. These are all inclusive programs. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means, but essentially you got to be thinking of your tuition and the fees and accommodations and whether or not meals are included or only partially included. So I think what you'll learn tonight will be very pleasing to hear, and really thank you for being here. I'm going to get us started with a short little video. It's about 2 minutes long. And maybe if you just have your finger over near your volume button, just to be prepared, it oftentimes starts out a little loud, but I hope you enjoy it.
Studying marine biology along the Great Barrier Reef, diving deep into the colorful culture of northern Thailand, trekking through New Zealand's stunning natural beauty, practicing your Mandarin while eating dim sum in Shanghai. There is nothing like living and learning in another culture. The people you meet, the knowledge you gain, the adventures you remember the rest of your life. It may seem like a dream, but studying abroad is easier than you think with the Education Abroad Network, or TEAN. With more than 20 years of welcoming students to Asia Pacific and dedicated on-the-ground staff, we're experts at what we do and have strong partnerships with more than 30 leading universities throughout the region. We support students from start to finish on their study abroad journey. With TEAN, while you're away from home, you're never alone. Whether you're seeking summer or semester-long study, professional internship, or even a full degree, there is a TEAN program suited to your schedule, studies, and lifestyle. Ready to get started? Visit our website at teenabroad.org.
I really love that video. I think it illustrates quite well who we are as an organization, the types of experiences that we provide for our students. Really just, I think, a great introduction of the experiences that we're providing for the students. And I just want to, sorry about that. I just want to talk a little bit about what we're all about and what we're doing with our programs. You know, the first little section there, we talk about creating these immersive experiences that are environmentally responsible, socially responsible, and culturally responsible. Because we've been working in the various regions of the world for so long, we've been able to really craft or develop programs in such a way that we're thinking about all of those points. When we're looking at our orientation sites, the types of activities that we're planning for our students, where we're staying, the types of restaurants or eateries that we're utilizing, local tour guides. If we're doing indigenous experiences of any sorts, we want to be very sensitive to who we're collaborating and partnering with for those experiences. So we try to keep all of that in mind, from program development to the experiences we're providing to students and the staff that we hire here within the organizations. Our programs are for all students. These programs are for students of all backgrounds, of all ethnicities, of all religious and sexual orientation, for all majors, as you've heard me mention earlier. We are trying to cultivate an awareness amongst our students of tolerance, of acceptance, and really, I think, creating just a larger, greater good in the global society. You will be developing some global competencies while you're there. We're talking about learning about educational systems, political systems, healthcare systems. That's super important as part of the experience. This is an education abroad program. You're going to be primarily studying while you're there, but we also know that students go for many other reasons. And some of those are to learn the culture, to maybe pick up a second or perhaps a third language. There's many other reasons. So as we develop our programs and all of the experiences and activities that our students get to experience, we're keeping all of this in mind. You know that we offer the semester and summer programs. Those are what we're going to be talking about this evening. I also want to quickly reference that there are winter programs. We have winter programs in South Korea. Those obviously are closed. The deadlines have passed, as well as for spring. But I did want to reference that in South Korea, we do have all of these various programs you see here: semester, summer, winter. There's full-time internships. We're going to be touching on a few of those this evening, but just for reference, and as you look through the website, you'll see all these variety of options for students. This is obviously a map of a section of Asia. We want to point out all the various locations where we're servicing students, the great institutions where we're sending those students, but also, so you know, the three institutions in South Korea that we'll be talking about this evening at Korea University, Hangyang, and Busan. Two of the institutions are Seoul-based universities, so they're embedded within the city of Seoul, and the other program at Busan is located in Busan with a B. Nevertheless, that gives you some good visual image as to what we're talking about, and comparing the rest of that with China and Vietnam and Singapore, Thailand. Those destinations are often places where some of our students might want to go on holiday, or let's just say you have a semester break or you have a long weekend of some sort. These are usually very quick flights in and around Asia at often very inexpensive rates. So just again, pointing that out so you have a reference point. Korea University is our first program that we'll be talking about. If you do want to follow along on the website, it's teenabroad.org, and you'll be able to go to programs, or you can click on countries. There's several ways to do that from the main page. If you go to countries, you'll scroll over and click on South Korea, and then you'll open up to the various programs. Korea University is probably our best well-known institution in the portfolio of South Korea. It is considered one of South Korea's Ivy League institutions, more prominent institutions of higher ed. The K and the SKY acronym stands for Korea University. The other two institutions making up sort of that Ivy League equivalent would be Seoul University and Yonsei. So that's Korea University is making up the K portion of that. This is an institution that has, maybe about 50% of its courses are taught in English. Again, whether you're studying in the business discipline, if you want to study accounting or management or finance, no problem there. If you're a STEM student, if you want to take biology and chemistry, there's some engineering courses as well, mathematics. If you're health sciences students, again, you've got some opportunities there, particularly around the more traditional sciences, communication studies, international relations and politics, and many of the other humanities-based degree and subject areas would be offered there. This is an institution that, as you see from the image, might look like an institution that we see here in the US. This building here reminds me of a picture of a campus at Virginia Tech. Back in the 1960s, I believe, the president of the institution then did a big tour of the US and was really looking to have Korea University have like more of a US campus feel to it. And they've been very successful with that. They have great student alumni and great student organizations and sporting clubs and teams. And it's a very collegiate institution, and very much like what you would expect here in the US. Very well regarded, great academics, very smart students, and by the way, the US students fit in really well there. Again, it's one of our most popular programs. What I love about this particular program is you live right on campus, maybe about a 10 to 15 minute walk down to the main classroom areas. You'll be in shared, like a twin dorm. I've been to this campus many a times. I've been inside the international dorms on these professional site visits that we do, and I was very impressed. So essentially you have your bedroom, your desk, you have a shared bathroom and shower there. You typically will have like a full-size kitchen in the dormitory. Obviously it won't be in your specific room, but there is one for the shared floor. And many students do prepare their own meals, at least, one or two, or, some students like to prepare 3 a day. Then that's fine. You have the opportunity to do that. There's also an opportunity to purchase meals right on campus. There are meal plans that you can look into, but most of our students, I'd say they're doing their own a breakfast, or maybe they're doing their own lunch, or perhaps they're going across the street and eating at one of the hundreds of dining options just within a small stone's throw away from campus. Students really, really love it. But for those who do want to have kitchen access and cook their own meals, that's really great, especially because we do some food cooking courses. We do a lot of great activities for students, take you to the markets, and so it's always fun to take some of that back to the dorm or into the kitchen and cook it up. I shared a little bit about the orientations. These are inclusive in all programs. regardless of destination. You'll have a welcome orientation. I mentioned that our staff oftentimes will fly over from the US or may be there a few days in advance of your arrival, just preparing for the orientation. Obviously, you meet our in-country staff there. Look, the first week is a little confusing. You're halfway across the globe, you're in a new time zone, obviously you're in a new country, you're with students now from all over the US, and you know, it takes a couple of days for your body to get adjusted and acclimated to your new country. So for the first 4 days, we're together as a group. We're doing some really fun activities. Maybe we're doing some taekwondo. Maybe we're doing some cooking lessons. We often try to take students up to the demilitarized zone where the South and North Korea border meet. We do some really moving and emotional lectures from folks who have crossed over the border from North Korea into South Korea. That's a really special time for our students to get to hear directly from those citizens. And we just try to have a lot of fun and keep everybody together there, as well as, you know, going out and walking and getting to know Seoul a little bit and visiting some of the really great sites of cultural interest. And so it's just a really wonderful location, again, for pretty much all majors. You know, this is a program that would suit you well. They offer the full semester, the summer option, which I do want to talk about here in just a minute, as well as the winter program, as I mentioned previously in the presentation. The summer program is university-based, so you'll be here at Korea University, but you have two options. You have a 4-week option and a 6-week option. They're pretty much identical in that you'll take either 1 or 2 courses or 2 and 3 courses, with the latter being the 6-week program. The majority of subject areas that would be offered and available for a semester program will also be available for the summer program, with some limitations and restrictions. Obviously, Korean language and culture will be available, many subjects around business, the humanities, and social sciences, of course. Sometimes you get some biology type courses and chemistry. Some of that is dependent on enrollments and I guess requests for the courses. But nevertheless, 2 great options for the summer for students who may not be able to take a full semester away. You'll have at least 2 options for a 4 and a 6-week summer program. The next institution that we have is Hangyang University. You remember I said this is also a Seoul-based campus, so you're in the city of Seoul, a very large city, of course. This is one of the leading research institutions, particularly in the STEM field. So if you're a student who is, you know, a STEM major who really needs the majority of courses in the STEM field, then I would highly suggest you look at Hangyang for the opportunity. Yes, Korea University has some, but this will deliver many more options with a deeper range of subjects in those areas. Again, still good for business and communications and humanities. So it is, like many institutions throughout South Korea, multidisciplinary. There'll be specific you know, academic areas that may be stronger for one institution over another. But we want to present variety to students. So you have academic variety, you have size of university variety, you have pricing variety, location variety. So here in Seoul gives you 2 options. There is going to be on and off campus at this option here at Hangyang. Unlike Korea University, you will be living on campus in a dorm. This will offer both more of your traditional on-campus dormitory and off-campus dorm / apartment. Like you would expect here in the US, you have air-conditioned rooms, you will have a shared room, there'll be dining halls all around campus and adjacent to campus, right around, you know, the blocks or in different streets around campus. You'll have plenty of convenience stores, restaurants, so plenty of like student-friendly places for students to go and have a coffee, go out for dinner, go dancing, etc. Just two really awesome opportunities, a little bit different opportunities academically, but nevertheless, two really great opportunities. But if living off campus is important to you and you don't want to live and study basically in the same place, then this is the one you want to take a hard look at. They do have a 4-week summer program. This program runs through late July. It starts late June. This might be really good for students who want to take a summer course, maybe here in the US. Maybe you want to pick up a quick short-term summer job before you go overseas for a summer study abroad program. I think that provides some really good flexibility for students in a couple of situations like I just gave there, a couple of examples. Whereas the Korea University programs, basically you'll have a June and a July start opportunity. So a couple of different dates, a couple of different opportunities, certainly different price ranges there. But nevertheless, lots of great programs here for you to choose from. The last option we'll talk about this evening is Busan National University. This is based in Busan, and this is, well, the second largest city in South Korea, but it's more of it's a mountainous area of South Korea. It's also very close to the sea, so for students who are looking more for a coastal type of living and social experience, this might be an opportunity for you to think about going here. You're always going to have very easy access to Seoul. A lot of students will want to have that on their bucket list if they're studying down here. But remember, your orientation is going to start in Seoul. So your first 4 days are going to be up there, and you'll have sort of the bucket list check off for some of the activities and places that you'll want to see when you're in Seoul. So this, again, much further south, a different type of experience. It's not the bright lights, big city of Seoul, but it still has everything that a student would want to do in terms of academics. Again, multidisciplinary, really great for students interested in like the international studies. So that's like international politics, international relations, any range of, your international studies courses. Really great for business students as well, and the general humanities and social sciences. So, there's a theme here in South Korea where you pretty much have an opportunity academically to go in any one of these three places. I would like for students to be thinking about outside of the classroom experiences. Do you currently live in a big city, and would you like to go live in a big city in South Korea? Or do you live in a big city here and maybe you'd like something a little bit smaller, closer to the sea, close access to the mountains, and vice versa? If you live in a small town, maybe you want to live in the big city while you're studying abroad. Again, we're presenting opportunities for a range of students with different, not just academic needs, but personal needs, social needs, cultural needs, certainly financial needs. Each of these programs has various fees. They're all very, very well priced. Most of the programs are under $13,000 for Korea University. Busan National is under $10,000 for the semester, and that's inclusive of your tuition and fees, like you would expect. That includes your housing on these programs. That includes the 4-day orientation. That includes several cultural experiences and excursions throughout your semester in South Korea. And of course, those cultural activities and excursions change from semester to semester based on the weather. But we've been running very similar cultural events and excursions for a number of years, just based on the feedback. Students love what we're presenting to them and the opportunities that they have there. So as long as the students keep giving us great feedback, we'll continue to take them to the places that they can enjoy. I will say that this program here at Busan is inclusive of the meal plan, so that's different from the other two programs in Seoul. This is the program that is the least expensive of the three. So as I mentioned, under $10,000, that is everything that I mentioned previously, plus your meal plan. That's a really, really great program fee. And again, you have close access to the city of Seoul. You'll have multiple excursions and cultural events, just like the other programs. So if you're a little bit more budget minded, or if you have a tighter budget, maybe this is the place for you to consider. So what I wanted to do tonight was to present 3 study abroad opportunities, but then also transition to the summer internship in Seoul. This is an 8-week option, so it sort of fits right in the middle between, a 14, 15-week semester program, or the 4 to 6 week summer option. This is 8 weeks. You have 2 opportunities to start. You can either start in mid-June and finish up in mid-July, or you start in start in mid-May and finish in mid-July, or you start in mid-June and end in mid-August. They turn out to be 9-week programs with your arrival orientation, getting settled in, and then you start your 8-week orientation. These are all meant to be custom designed placements. That means that throughout the application process, obviously when you complete your application, you'll be filling in some of your basic background details, who you are, what have you been studying, what's your degree, etc. We will then, once you submit your application, we will then set up a time to have a welcome call with you. It's a very informal interview. I hesitate to even use the word interview because I don't want you to think of it in such a way, but it's just an informal kind of get to know you call, review your application, look at your resume, give some tips or some examples of what maybe other students have done on their cover letters. We talk about the different placement opportunities. Talk a lot about you. What are you interested in getting out of the experience? Have you ever done an internship before? If so, what was that like? What are some of the skills you gained? It's not required to have previous experience, but if you have previous experience, great, let's talk about it. Let's try to learn from one another about the skills you're trying to achieve, or some area that you're trying to get more experience in. If you've never had an internship before and this is your first one, that's fine too. Want to talk pretty similarly about your career goals. What are some of the skills you're looking for? As you can see here, nearly, the areas of business and marketing and communications, entertainment and technology, media, those are some of the more popular placement opportunities. We'll pretty much look at all applications for all types of placements, but we may have to be realistic when it comes to certain majors about what we can have access to and the quality of the placement. But we do say that these are customized placements. We want all students to apply. If it turns out that maybe Seoul isn't a great location for your major, let's just say perhaps you're a marine biology student and you'd like to be a marine biologist someday, but you have a real interest in going to Seoul, well, maybe there's an area of science that we can look at. But maybe if you want something in a like a wildlife rehab, or maybe an aquarium, or veterinary services, maybe we look to Australia or New Zealand or some other destinations that might be a little bit more placement friendly. But nevertheless, we do want you to look at Seoul as an opportunity for an 8-week non-paid internship, but nevertheless an internship that with a great price point, includes the placement, the pre-arranged housing, and those are like shared apartments, usually right on the transportation lines, so very easy access to your internship site. Obviously the internet and the utilities are included there. You will have health insurance as part of this program. You will have the orientation. It's a little bit of a condensed version of the 4-day program, but nevertheless, you still get some really great experiences there. So again, a great opportunity for 8 weeks in the summer for an internship program. I do want to talk about scholarships because I often receive questions about, do you have scholarships? How competitive are they? Do you have some for, certain majors? Well, the answer is yes to most all of that. Here on the screen is just a few examples of the types of scholarships that we offer at our organization. Your institution probably has a resource in the study abroad office there of scholarship opportunities. Our scholarships are sort of broken down into category. The first one, and I guess the most robust in terms of package, would be the full ride scholarship. That's up to $15,000. That's a significant scholarship. Obviously, it's the most competitive scholarship. But what makes this scholarship unique is that you do not have to be an applicant even an applicant to one of our programs to apply for this. Some students know absolutely if they don't get a scholarship, they're not going to be able to go study abroad. So we present that opportunity for students. And again, it's very competitive, but if you don't apply for it, you don't know if you're ever going to get one. I sit on the scholarship committee, or have in the past. I think we're all a little disappointed with how few students eventually apply for scholarships, or how much little effort maybe they put into writing a really great scholarship application. You'll see we have other areas like need-based and merit-based and diversity-based scholarships. It's one application for all the various scholarships that you see here. Some of this requires just a little bit of thought about your particular needs, your perspective, where you're coming from, your background. We want to hear from students about what they're hoping to achieve out of this experience, how it's going to complement them academically and potentially, professionally in their careers. But we also need some information about, the qualifications for the various scholarship categories. There's a photography scholarship for students. This requires like a little bit of a portfolio. So if you like to take photos, I would encourage you to apply for that. We've had students who are using their iPhone submit photos. We've had students using the old, Canon, old school cameras, digital cameras, etc. So, you don't have to be a professional photographer to submit an application for this scholarship at all. Then there's university specific scholarships. These are scholarships that are designated for students to go to specific universities within the portfolio of programs we offer. Every once in a while, Korea has scholarships that will be exclusive for students studying in South Korea. That's always great. A lot of the Australian partners offer university-specific scholarships. There is a number of scholarship opportunities and lists of where you can seek out funding for scholarships on our website. and in links to, to where you would go there. And again, I'd encourage you to go speak with your education abroad office, study abroad office, and ask them about opportunities for scholarships and how those could be applied towards your experiences overseas, whether it be for a summer study abroad, full semester, or an internship program. I do want to talk a little bit about health and safety. We all know we're in the middle of a pandemic here in the US. Your well-being is our number one priority. We have a really great professional back to travel working group that's made up of folks obviously on the health and safety committee, folks from the legal departments, program development staff, the program managers, the overseas staff. We're using and relying on a lot of information for us to make really quality decisions about opening a program, continuing to run a program, or unfortunately, like many of us had to do in the spring, as you probably know, many of your friends were probably recalled from study abroad. And so that was certainly disappointing. But I'm really pleased that we have such a great a group of folks who are knowledgeable and who are experts in this area that are making just really great decisions. We already know about the 24/7 support. We have the on-site safety orientations. All of our housing had been vetted. We've visited these places personally. And so we feel very confident about your safety and well-being while you're in country. Accidents do happen. That's why you have insurance. That's why our staff are there. You'll go through all the protocols while you're in your orientation, even beforehand, about using the equivalent of 911 services here, how you access those services there, how you report being perhaps a victim of a crime. There's processes that you'll have to go through there. And so we are very, very aware that, families, students, study abroad personnel back on campuses, they all have your health and safety top of mind, and people love you and they're concerned about you. And so we do everything that we can to make this a safe and comfortable, and more importantly, a fun experience for you. As we look at what's happening here with COVID-19 in the US, we know that there are some vaccines that were recently announced that have some really high efficacy rates. If we look to Asia and what's happening there, they've been able to control the spread quite well. Those are different societies and different cultures, and they have more familiarity and more experience with mask wearing as societies. And so they don't have nearly the number of cases that we have here, but they also, more importantly, have access to testing. And so when there are little mini pop-ups that happen, there's testing readily available. Those who are diagnosed, they quarantine for sure. There's some really great safety measures in place there. And so obviously, as you apply for the programs for summer and fall of 2021, we hope this is well behind us, but we still may be dealing with some of this in some of the countries where we're sending students. But again, we're thinking about all that as we're sending you overseas, and we do whatever is necessary to make sure that you can go overseas, but have it be a safe experience as well. I do want to mention that in these times that we're dealing with, we have been able to adjust some of our policies, created new ones, like we've got your back policy, meaning, hey, if you start your application and your program deposits and you have all the intention in the world of going, but your university says, well, now we've got a travel restriction in place and you cannot go and you're not going to earn credits and you can't take your financial aid, etc., we've got your back. We'll give you the refund. If we have to cancel a program because there's a flare up and we're not confident that it's going to be a safe or comfortable experience for you as a student, we've got your back. You get a refund. You can look at an alternate program for sure. You can defer to another semester. That's fine too. But we want you to apply in confidence, knowing that in these really unprecedented times, that at least you know that you have some stability from where we sit in terms of refunding you if you're unable to go because your university canceled or we had to cancel on you. I'll say last couple of slides here, and then we'll open it up for some questions, and also spend a little time on the website navigating around just to show you a few things. But obviously, we want you to be thinking about all the programs. We want you to be thinking about academics first. This is study abroad, but also think about outside of the classroom. What are the things you want to see and do? Do you want to travel a lot? Do you want to stay closer to the city where you're studying and living? Do you really want to get an opportunity to know it well? Or is traveling around to other destinations important to you because this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity? You're on campus or off campus accommodation. How important is that to you? How important is having a fixed price point? So everything's budgeted out and you have your meals and you have your accommodation and you know you're going to have set number of excursions and cultural experiences. So think about price as well. All of that, in addition to working with our program managers, working with your study abroad or education abroad advisors there on campus, they will help you think about some of the questions that you should be thinking about as you plan this experience. Obviously, you need to be thinking about talking to your academic advisor. How does this fit into your academics? How many core classes can you take? Do you want to take elective subjects only? Do you want to take something that's relevant to your degree area but is not necessarily offered at your campus? Maybe it doesn't count towards your degree, but you'll still earn credit for it, and it's a really cool subject. And if they just had something like that back, like this subject here in the U.S., wouldn't that be great? So I'm going to take it while I'm there. These are just some questions that you should be asking yourself, and you'll come to a decision. And sometimes it's a tough decision. Like here in the case of South Korea, because there's 3 semester options in 2 cities. So I think that helps a little bit, unlike where Australia, you have 20 different university choices. You've got 6 or 7, fantastic cities to choose from. You've got, big city, you've got coastal campuses. So maybe here in South Korea, it's a little bit easier choice. Obviously, getting started on the website, applying through TEAN, but also through your university there. They're going to have some steps and processes that you need to follow for sure. That is the end of the presentation. If there are some questions, feel free to unmute yourself. If you'd like to drop a question into the chat feature, feel free to do so. I do want to thank you all for being here this evening. I'm going to pop up to the website. I want to take you here for a moment, just so you get an idea of how we can find different programs here. So you should be able to see my screen now. This is the landing page for the Education Abroad Network. I mentioned earlier, there's a couple of different ways to find the programs. I scroll over the programs button. I like to go down to the country, and I'll click on South Korea because that's what we're talking about this evening. And from here, you see all the various, well, first we start with where and why in South Korea and why you think it would be a great place and what you can study, etc. But then we come down to the various program options. And here you'll see the various universities. You'll be able to click on, let's just say Korea University, for example, and this will open up the program page. Along the right-hand side, you can see the semester dates, what the GPA requirements will be, what the application deadlines are. There's some really great photos in here of the campus and surrounding area. These are some of the markets I was referring to earlier. It's just a beautiful campus, just, you know, a wonderful, wonderful campus. As I mentioned, it does look like sort of anywhere USA campus. It's quite beautiful. Nevertheless, details about Seoul in there, program information like the orientation. If you wanted to click on the team to see who's in Seoul, you could do that. Here is where I like to start with the subject areas. So I mentioned that this is for all students, pretty much accounting through zoology. It doesn't matter really if you're a second year student or a senior. I would say that you have many options. You know, again, you could take core courses. Obviously, you need to get those approved through your study abroad office and your academic advisor. But, you know, everything that you would be thinking about in the business area is pretty much going to be offered. You see several different engineering opportunities there. Here's some of the stuff in health sciences, humanities, international studies. Here's some of the more traditional sciences and chemistry and geology, a little bit of performing arts. Obviously, language is going to be offered under the international studies section. So I think that's great. 2.5 GPA. Basically, you just need to be a sophomore status or higher. This is fine if you are a senior. This is totally fine if you are a sophomore student. If you're a third year student, that's no problem at all. You just need to have a 2.5 GPA. Traditionally, what we look for in an applicant is obviously you'd have to have the GPA or close to it. There are some cases if you have a slightly lower GPA, we can look at that application. So you need a transcript, you need a university approval form, which comes from your study abroad office typically. Eventually you upload a photo of your passport. It's a very easy online application. There's a couple of questions in here. One is about, should I apply through the university or directly through the TEAN website? Well, if you know you want to study abroad, then you certainly should do both. But you know, maybe starting with your university study abroad office, they might have some different requirements than we have. So I always think it's a good idea to start with them. Because they're going to know the specifics on campus. They're going to know who you should speak to about, you know, financial aid and scholarships, the academic advisors you need to speak to. Maybe do you have to talk to the registrar's office, etc. So that's a great place to start. You can start a profile application on our website. You can just log in and just start an initial profile. It's who you are, what university you're from, where you're interested in studying. In order to move through the application cycle, there's a $100 application fee. It's really a deposit. But if you're not going to move forward, then just start the profile and don't worry about the app fee. Talk to your study abroad office, talk to them about the process they want you to go through, and then that way at least you'll have your profile set up, and it'll be very easy for you to complete that application and then upload your information, the program materials, which in many times is what your university is asking for, and then you just can submit to us what you submitted to them in most cases. There's a question here about being a senior. What are maybe some of the requirements of being a last year student? Really nothing special you have to do there. Again, you just need that GPA requirement. You will need to obviously speak with your study abroad folks, your department. You want to make sure that you have an opportunity to take courses abroad. There's sometimes some restrictions on perhaps the number of courses you can take back in your major. There's a whole range of policies and procedures from across the US, so I don't want to misinform or misguide you. But I will say from our perspective, you're not going to be asked to do any more or any less than any other student, whether they be a second year or a third year or a fourth year student. Just for anyone who's in their third or fourth year, I would just highly encourage you to just stay connected with your academic or program advisor, however you refer to them on campus, and then also your study abroad advisor, just so you're very clear on the policies and procedures. But it should be pretty streamlined and pretty smooth moving forward. Again, moving through the website here just to show you a little bit about the spring dates and fall dates and what those would look like. The fall dates will obviously be published for fall 21 once we have them, but consistently it's been an arrival into South Korea late August and finishing up, mid-December, pretty much like what we have here in the US, except for this semester when pretty much everybody's going home on or before Thanksgiving break and probably finishing up virtually there. I'll take an opportunity here to just go back to the Korea study abroad options page. I would encourage you to take a look at the Hangyang and Busan National University pages, because they're very detailed, just like we saw at Korea University. But I do want to take an opportunity to look at the summer in Seoul, because I think, again, this is a great program for students with a little less time availability to go for a full semester. Just look at that campus. That is beautiful. I love that. Love that photo. It's fantastic. Same details as before. Scrolling through about the campus and the university. Here you'll see, again, a good range of subjects that would be available to students. Maybe a little less in some areas than you saw previously. There won't be any engineering opportunities really, but if you're in the business and communication, obviously humanities and social sciences, there's a range of subjects there. If you're looking, not for a curriculum of programming in the biology, chemistry areas, then this will be fine. There'll be a couple of courses for you in mathematics, etc. And certainly language, performing arts, etc. Same eligibility requirements, 2.5 GPA. If you have slightly lower, you should reach out to us and we'll take a look at it. Have to be enrolled, in a 2-year or 4-year institution. So, it's saying you have to be a university student. Again, sophomore status. And that doesn't mean sophomore at the time of application. You have to be a sophomore by the time you go. So if you completed your first year of study, say as a freshman, and you want to go like that summer, that's an opportunity for you because you'll be in your second sophomore year. The dates and fees and inclusions, as I've started off the presentation, we're very upfront about our fees. You get to see what the fees are for the various programs based on the number of courses that you want, and of course the housing is always included in addition to all those other areas. So I'm going to go back to the main page here. And I do want to thank you all very much again for attending this session. I'll point out one other area of the website that I think will be useful for you, which is the under how it works, the finance, and then the scholarships page. Again, this will give you all of the details that I was referring to earlier with the various categories of scholarships that we have. All of our scholarships start at a $1,000 level, which I think is a great way to start. Some of these go up to $5,000 and obviously beyond for the full ride. It's really great to see the high dollar amount of $1,000 for program fees that might be, $10,000, $11,000, or $12,000. So $1,000 off of that is quite significant. So again, take some time and look at that. And again, I really appreciate you being here. There is a question about what if my university maybe doesn't work with TEAN yet, or hasn't sent many students on a TEAN program? How does that all work? Well, the same process really will apply to you as it does to all the other students. Is you'll have to basically do 2 applications. You do the TEAN application, and you may have to do the application of your home university. It really does depend on your campus. We work with several institutions that are sort of in that same category. They don't send a lot of students, or maybe they're just now sending their first group of students on a TEAN program. Some of them require the application to be done there before they can apply to TEAN. In other cases, they want them to apply to TEAN first, so they go through all our processes and then just update them once they have filed that application and then be admitted to the program. There's some communication that we like to have here at TEAN with the home university advisors or directors. So we always think it's a good idea for us to stay connected about that. They're going to want to ultimately know about your program dates and where you're staying and what types of courses you're going to be taking while you're there. So that the credit transfer thing is probably the biggest question that you need to get answered. And I think really only the study abroad office can answer that. We do have many cases where maybe a study abroad office will refer you to the academic department, because again, they have the full details of your curriculum, what subjects may be able to slot into your curriculum there, what courses will count as a core course versus, or as opposed to an elective subject. So I do want to refer you back to that office. My email address is in the chat. It's dan.o'brien@teanabroad.org. Please email me with any questions that you have. And if you would like to send me a follow-up about your question, where the university doesn't necessarily work with TEAN, go ahead and send me an email and I'll follow up with a little bit more detailed reply to you tomorrow. But again, thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you have a good Thanksgiving, and I hope you're safe traveling home back to where you are, and just wish you all the best and a great holiday season upcoming. Thank you all.